So how are you doing? Where are we at right now in the house? What's going on?
I am. I'm feeling good with my winner pick, at least compared to you guys. Is first right off the bat. I think I think one of the have not room headlines is Ashley and Keanu, both really not as good players as we thought they were going to be.
Oh man, we
Almost predicted
overrated
week
them.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. We came in being like these two are the clear front runners of everybody, and then just it all fell apart so quickly, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, obviously on the episode we saw on the second episode we saw that Ashley had Showergate, which may or may not have been like the real beef of the reason why she was nominated and targeted, but she was put on the block alongside Zay and Amy, and then also uh, had a lot of social faux pas, you could say. But we come back, we get the feeds come on, last night, and Ashley has won the power of veto. And earlier today, she did, or actually, like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, she did use it obviously on herself. So great
Same
news for you, Brian. You dodged the bullet because it looks like if she had not won the veto, she would have. Obviously, she had the BB blockbuster as well, but if she had not won the veto or the BB blockbuster, it's looking like she would have been the first boot of the season. So dodged that, and I think that she has a decent shot here, potentially rebounding and coming out from underneath the kind of situation she buried herself in, or was maybe I would say half her fault, half Vince's fault. Coming out of week one. So
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of like there's really no reason to get rid of anybody,
yeah,
and people just kind of jumped on that and
yes,
dogpiled on it, and it just
100%.
like 100% got out of control. And was it a faux pas? Sure. Yes, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do anything in Big Brother to make yourself stand out in any way, especially week one. But you know what? I'm really hopeful that now that she's past this, she can move on and have a successful run at things.
Yep. And I mean, look, Vince himself, like early this morning at like 4:30 in the morning, something crazy, was himself still awake, taking a shower. So maybe she's really a trendsetter.
Yeah, and like I literally was laying in bed last night after the episode before the feeds came on and was like, yeah, maybe my winner pick's gonna be first out because she took too long of a shower. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Dodge a bullet, and yeah, I think we had to talk about Vince because I think Vince obviously first HOH here. We see on the episode, he uh, importantly, we'll talk about Kelly, who comes up to him and is like, I trust you. We're going to make this final two agreement. She immediately offers to go on the block as a pawn. He doesn't like end up doing that as an initial nominee. A little bit of a spoiler there, maybe in the way I worded that. But yeah, I think Vince. It became very clear from the from like an hour into feeds that he just doesn't really have much of a backbone. At least like the amount of backbone you need to have a successful week one HOH. Like we talk a lot about, especially in modern Big Brother, we've had like a pretty crazy run of really bad week one HOHs ever since Cody and All Stars, where he kind of put on a clinic not only just as a week one HOH but for the whole season. He like almost like Lord Voldemort with the Defense Against the Dark Arts spot. He cursed the first HOHs in the rest of VB history to have horrible reigns. Because I feel like it's not that hard, Brian, to like have a successful first HOH. Like all you have to do is just like play aggressively, Like you kind of have to swing your dick around a little bit, use the power to form a social structure or an alliance around you as a core. Like you have all of the power, you should have all of the advantage.
I feel like too, he's so worried about people being mad at him, but he's not like thinking like all these people are going to be so happy with me for not
Yep.
nominating them that
Yep.
they'll want to work with me. He's only concerned about the people he's going to upset.
Yeah, it's a very like pessimistic, like glass half empty way of like looking at a first HOH, which is like I don't know, like nothing about what he's done so far as first HOH, other than we'll talk about the alliance that he's in, but like that's like the bare minimum of what you should be getting out of a first HOH is an alliance. And like even his own position within that alliance is very very reminiscent, I would say, of like McRae and the Moving Company, where it's like a very unstable alliance that he's only in because he's the first HOH, and there's not really like a ton of long term loyalty there, and it could implode as soon as next week, a la the Moving Company.
Yeah, who's the Nick Uas of this alliance?
I mean,
Another former Brian Winter pick, by the way.
I've seen people comparing Jimmy to Nick Uhas, both preseason and post. Yeah, post the show starting. I think that we'll talk about Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy's like I would say probably the star of the season at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jimmy's probably a better player than Nick. I say that he still could be Nick Uhas next week. He could have the same arc. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that like he's shot out of a cannon, and he did not take all the Big Brother's a marathon, not a sprint advice that endless people have coming off of the show / commentating on the show. He's just like, I'm sprinting, baby. I'm ready.
Yeah, I do think that it's a marathon and a sprint is like a little bit kind of overblown and kitschy. I think that like you can play Big Brother as a sprint if you are the type of personality and the type of player that can sprint for this season 83 days straight. And I think like Jimmy does actually kind of fit the vibes of somebody who can just like sprint nonstop for 83 days and never slow down. Yeah.
I mean, Tony from Survivor, he sprinted all the 39 days that, both times he won. Like, I guess it is possible. Suri, though, was not able to keep the pace after the first month. So we'll see if he's still here in a month. How he's
I think Suri obviously loses Izzy, loses Jared, and I think after losing both Izzy and Jared, and also like not being able to win a comp, kind of like took a lot of the wind out of her sails. Whereas I really don't think that Jimmy would have that kind of an issue. Well, I don't really think he legitimately cares about any of the people in this house to that degree, and I also think that he is like a young like fit dude. Like he's probably one of the people who's the more likely to win an average comp. So I don't know if he would have the same kind of issues that Suri ran into, where she did run out of steam.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but I do like what I'm seeing from Jimmy so far, just from the sense of like he's going to be very entertaining this season.
Oh, for sure, he's great, amazing feeds. He's going to be great TV. Like he's we'll talk about this veto ceremony that just happened. He planned like we didn't get to see it because the way they structure the veto comp on the feeds, they cut the feeds and then they don't really bring it back, especially on the first week until like a little bit after. But from what we can gather and from what he was planning going in, he confronted both Keanu and Amy after the veto ceremony directly and called them out. And Keanu seems to have like seen that as him like squashing their beef. but I don't know. I don't know if that's like real. Um, but yeah, I mean, we have this beef that had happened between Jimmy and Keanu that happened off feeds, and we kind of only heard bits and pieces of it, where Keanu was like, "I don't want to, I'm not down to talk game with you. I'm kind of like just playing it slow." Jimmy later in a conversation with Morgan and Zach compares this to somebody who's like playing Monopoly and doesn't want to move their piece off of Go until they see which properties everyone else is buying. Which is like, good Jimmy. Like Jimmy has a lot of like these kind of analogies and like metaphors and stuff that he throws out. Um, and then he later finds out that Keanu is actually playing the game. It's just that he's, talking to everybody else about targeting Jimmy. And so that creates a fight. They fight. They like kind of loosely make up. Then they have a fight again, but then they make up again. I think, I don't know. It's very hard to kind of track their relationship. I think they are still probably both like loosely going to target each other if it comes down to it. But yeah, that's where Jimmy's at, and Jimmy also is and the architect presumably of this 6-person alliance built around Vince's HoH, called the Heavy Hitters, which comprises Jimmy, Vince, Morgan, Zach, Rachel, and Riley, which is a very strange hodgepodge of people, and like I said, feels very tenuous as to how long it's going to last.
It's also like so frustrating that we didn't have the feeds, because it's like,
Yeah.
how are Jimmy and Rachel in the same alliance
Yeah.
after what we've seen on TV?
Yeah,
What
how
is
did Riley get
happening?
into this? Like, we're because it seems like nobody in the alliance talks to him. Like, I guess like Rachel and him are having a heart to heart right now, and they have been for about like 45 minutes. But up until like that, like the first 8 hours of feeds, like Riley seemed very separate from the rest of the alliance.
Yeah,
And it definitely felt like the core was like Morgan, Jimmy, Zach as a
yeah,
three.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm happy that Rachel's in an alliance
mhm.
and seemingly has some footing. I don't love that Amy potentially might be going home this week,
Yeah.
as we'll see. Like, that's not good for her, but maybe it'll light a fire under her. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We'll talk about, I guess, what happens with the renom. But yeah, I would say like at this point, like Amy probably has like a 40 to 50% chance of going home.
Yeah.
Not great for Rachel.
Is
Rachel's like
that
the
on Rachel's radar at all? Like, does she know
um.
that it's coming?
I mean, I don't think she doesn't know. I do think that she probably at this point, So we'll get to it. But Kelly is the renom. We'll go through the whole drama of that happens.
Yeah.
But I think Rachel at this point thinks that Kelly is going to go home.
Mhm.
But I doubt that she's like going to play passively if it means like that Amy's in danger. She'll probably push within her alliance, because I do know that like Jimmy and to a lesser degree Zach are probably wanting Amy out of the 3 people on the block right now, um, because Amy did openly also target Jimmy to multiple people, and that got back to Jimmy, and that's why Jimmy confronted Amy and Keanu during the end of the veto ceremony a few hours ago. So bad on Amy for doing that. Really messy gameplay there. So I think that Rachel will probably kind of play it by ear, and like if she can uh, guarantee votes for Amy, then she will. Because I think the votes are pretty close. Like if Zay wins the blockbuster, which I think a lot of people both in and out of the house are kind of like assuming is the more likely option of the 3, the vote between Kelly and Amy is pretty close, which is why I said like 40 to 50%. I think like it's like somewhere in the 50-50, 60-40 range.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I one part of me wants to see what Rachel would do, you
Mhm.
know? But we'll see what happens.